Hello, we're continuing our reviews on the Hammer Frankenstein series, and I'm Christian, this is my friend Jeremy, and my friend John. We previously reviewed The Revenge of Frankenstein. Before that, I did a review on The Curse of Frankenstein, which had little short reviews from both of these guys. So, The Evil of Frankenstein is the third film of the Hammer Frankenstein series, but it was also distributed, at least in the US, by Universal. And this film, I would say, of all the Hammer Frankenstein films, is the one that definitely seems to pay the most tribute to the Universal films, because the monster in this, the makeup for the monster is clearly meant to look like Jack Pierce's makeup for the 1931 film.
Now, the film is directed by Freddie Francis, who also directed films like Nightmare and Hysteria, and Dracula Has Risen from the Grave for Hammer, and he also directed several films for Amicus, like Dr. Terror's House of Horrors, and he also directed the 1972 Tales from the Crypt movie. And he was a cinematographer on films like The Elephant Man and Dune, both of which were directed by David Lynch. He won the Academy Award for his cinematography on Glory, and he also did the cinematography for Martin Scorsese's remake of Cape Fear.
But what do you guys think of The Evil of Frankenstein? And real quick, I do want to point out that this one shares no continuity with the first two movies, even though Frankenstein does have an assistant named Hans in this one, and he also had an assistant named Hans in the previous film. There's no continuity whatsoever with this and the first two, but what do you guys think of this one?
Well, I don't like that they broke continuity with the previous two, but I think on its own merits it's a pretty decent film. And I like that they made the makeup more akin to the Jack Pierce makeup. I like it better than the makeup used on Christopher Lee in Curse of Frankenstein.
Alright, what do you think of this one?
It's alright. I mean, it's not my favorite, or it's not like bad. It's probably not a film I won't like watch again and again. And I just wish that they had kept it more like continuity with the first two. I guess, yeah, I like the makeup on the monster. It's definitely great tribute to Jack Pierce, and I feel like every time I keep watching more of these, like over and over, it's like I'm noticing like all the Universal like references.
Yeah, I like this one personally. I mean, yeah, the fact that they broke continuity kind of threw me off the first time I saw it, but it's almost just as well that they did that, because in the first two movies, Frankenstein is very much a villain, whereas this time around, he's definitely more of an anti-hero and is a lot more sympathetic, I would say. So I think it's just as well that this one is more of just a reboot of the series rather than a direct sequel to the previous two. But I still think it's funny that the assistant is named Hans. Like, it makes me wonder if maybe an early draft of the script was like in continuity with the first two, and then they just decided during production, fuck it.
Now, the plot of The Evil of Frankenstein is it's set 10 years after Victor Frankenstein actually created a creature by stitching together the remains of dead bodies and bringing it to life using electricity. But his creature was apparently killed by the authorities, and then he was driven from the town because of his crimes against nature. 10 years later, he's working with a young assistant named Hans, and they're attempting to recreate Frankenstein's experiment. They, of course, fail at this experiment, and one thing leads to another, and they have to return to Frankenstein's home village. Eventually, they find the body of Frankenstein's monster in a cave that is home to a mute girl, and they thaw it out and attempt to revive it. But it turns out that there's been severe damage done to the brain, so Frankenstein acquires the help of a sleazy hypnotist, but this hypnotist ends up taking control of the monster and using the monster for his own sinister purposes. And that's the basic plot line of The Evil of Frankenstein.
So, what do you guys think of the acting and the characters in this? What do you think of Peter Cushing this time around?
Oh, he's great as always. He's definitely playing a somewhat better character in terms of right and wrong this time than the other two times.
Yeah, this Frankenstein definitely seems to have more morals than the previous incarnation of the character.
And I also really liked the character of the hypnotist.
He was sleazy as fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah, I would say he's definitely the villain of the film.
Definitely.
Yes.
Like, the creature, if anything, is more of just a cipher for the hypnotist, really. What do you think of the mute girl in the film? I thought she was an interesting addition to the story.
I thought so too. She added a tragic element, I think. I mean, she couldn't talk, she couldn't convey any sense of danger. She was pretty helpless.
Yeah. And when you think of this movie's incarnation of Hinds, I mean, it's not really the character from the previous film, but there's a part of me that almost wants to think that it is. I liked Hinds in this movie.
Yeah, I preferred the last one, though.
I agree.
Alright. Oh, the last one was a bit of a dick. I like this one
Well,
better.
true, but I think because he was more like, the last guy was really into Dr. Frankenstein, wanted to be like Dr. Frankenstein, where this guy is just like, he's just the assistant, that's it.
What do you think of this incarnation of the monster?
Well, he certainly gets a lot more screen time than the one Curse did.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd say he's pretty good. Writes a lot, and he definitely gets to do a lot more than the one Curse did, played by Christopher Lee. And yeah, so it's almost unfair to compare them just because the first one didn't have a lot of screen time. But I mean, yeah, this monster I would say is better.
Alright.
Just, two completely different performances and two different actors playing the monster.
Now, John, you brought this up when we were watching this, that you thought that possibly Shape of Water might have taken some inspiration from, at least with the mute girl in the story.
I kind of felt that sense that maybe it's possible, maybe it wouldn't be surprised if, like, Guillermo del Toro could have been inspired a little bit from that.
It's possible. I mean, I wouldn't doubt that Guillermo probably has seen this movie. Because that guy's, he's seen a lot of these older films, so it wouldn't surprise me at all.
Yeah.
But yeah, overall, I like Evil of Frankenstein. I can somewhat get why you guys didn't, but I enjoyed it. I had fun with this one. Maybe it's just because of the charisma of Peter Cushing. He's so great to watch that even if it is a bad movie, I can still enjoy it because of Peter Cushing.
I did enjoy how his character was more like anti-hero rather than like really evil. I think really the hypnotist was more evil than.
So that was our review on the Evil of Frankenstein, and the next movie review we'll be doing is on Frankenstein Created Woman. See you later.